You can play the audio. Please play the audio.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna,
can you
Mataji,
adjust the camera?
camera.
Yes, we'll do it, Mataji, in just 2-3 minutes.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back once again to our ongoing series on the glories of our beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Deshatarine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, we're continuing with our mini-series on stimulation for ecstatic love, and this will be part 28. Today we will discuss a very important personality, actually hundreds and thousands of them actually, who play important roles in Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, and without a doubt stimulate each and every Vaishnava's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who could that or they be? Well, Gomata, Krishna's adorable cows. If anyone is familiar with Vrindavan pastimes, they'll know that out of all the Brajabasis, Krishna's cows probably spend the most amount of time with the Lord. There's that prayer from Vishnu Purana, 1:1965, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna, who is the worshipable deity for all Brahminical men, who is the well-wisher of cows and brahmanas, and who is always benefiting the whole world. I offer my repeated obeisances to the personality of Godhead, known as Krishna and Govinda. Now, in that verse, it's very clear how dear two things are to Krishna: Brahmins and cows. Brahmanas because they, how would you say, they carry on the message of Godhead before and after Krishna's presence on this earth. They're always preaching the message of Godhead. And cows because, well, they fall into the group of Krishna's favorite devotees. Who are they? Brajabasis. So cows must be very special. Again, because Krishna spends the balance of his day with them in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. And that actually starts very early in his life, at 5 years of age. At 5 years of age, Krishna was given charge of the calves. And it was all meant to be, I was thinking this morning. Because when Nanda Maharaj requested the sage Gargamuni to do an astrological reading at Krishna's birth, Gargamuni said, Censured son was born in the year called Vibhavashu, Viva Bhashu. Bhashu and the whole universe will be pleased with him. And since he was born under the Rohini constellation, he will be master of many herds of cows. And because his ascendant is Taurus, he will doubtlessly be the protector of innumerable bulls. This was the prediction. So again, that all began at the tender age of 5. And it meant that Krishna spent the balance of his time first with the calves and eventually with the cows and the bulls, their favorites. In Vedic culture, the day is divided into 8 yamas, Y-A-M-A-S, yamas, or literally 8 parts of the day. And each part consists of 3 hours. So 8 times 3 is 24 hours. So Krishna spent a good portion of those 8 yamas with his cows. The acharyas say that Krishna's day pastimes are more visible to the Brajavasis than his night pastimes, which are, obviously more confidential and reserved primarily for the gopis. I was reading that even the demigods can benefit from taking darshan of Krishna during the day. Lord Brahma, Indra, and the other demigods, they often come to Vrindavan in their special airplanes, their flower airplanes, to observe Krishna during the day, but never in the night, for the same confidential reasons. So what does Krishna mostly do during his visible pastimes in the day? Well, unlike most boys who go to school and study and learn manners, Krishna just herds and plays with his cows. The Vaishnava poet Chitta Swami has written, so nice, cows in front of him, cows behind him, cows are everywhere. Shri Krishna, the protector of cows, loves to be surrounded by them. He has filled the land of Braja with so many cows that even Vaikuntha is forgotten. It was for the sake of the cows that he held up Govardhan Hill. We thank that poet. So, cows are very important, not only in the spiritual world, but in the material world as well. As we've all heard before, the cow is one of our natural mothers. The Vedas say we have 7 natural mothers. Our real mother, our birth mother, Mata. The wife of the spiritual master, Guru Mata. The wife of the Brahmana, Puro Itani. The wife of the king, Raj Mata. The cow, Gau Mata. The nurse, Dhaima. And the earth, Dharati Mata. And I was reading that our birth mother and the nurse are considered sisters. The wife of a Brahmana, along with the wife of the Guru and the queen, are also considered sisters. And cows and Mother Earth are considered sisters too, the cows and Mother Earth. Therefore, Mother Earth is often depicted as a cow. Here in India you see paintings like that. Earth is depicted as a cow. So during the time when Krishna was in Vrindavan, cows were in such abundance that there were puddles of milk everywhere, it's described. And there were even streams of milk flowing throughout the land. I read that when Lord Indra came to Vrindavan, he comes from time to time, but on one visit he came to Vrindavan, it's described he was surprised to see milk flowing everywhere. Now, it's a fact that demigods sometimes get confused observing Krishna's pastimes, being unable to fully comprehend why Lord Vishnu, as they see Krishna, and his snake-bed Ananta, Balaram, would walk barefoot through the remote countryside of Vrindavan. Now, what's Vishnu doing walking barefoot? And they were amazed that these two supreme souls, Krishna and Balaram, whom the personified Vedas and Upanishads constantly praise, would sometimes become the object of childish jokes told by simple cowherd boys who were not even purified by second birth. This is how they saw it. And they were shocked when those cowherd boys would climb upon Krishna and Balaram's shoulders and steal food from their plates or decorate them with peacock feathers that they picked up off the ground. So that's why, as I mentioned, Indradev was surprised that Krishna and Balaram lived in a village and its surroundings had large puddles and rivulets of milk, flowing with milk. However, it's for that very reason that Vrindavan is also known as Shama Gori Bhumi. Shama, Gori, Gori. Shama Gori Bhumi. It means literally that Vrindavan has two rivers, one white and the other dark. How's that? The dark river is the Jamuna, and the white river is the milk flowing throughout the land. Another interesting fact I found is that Shastras describe the milk of Vrindavan's cows as not only white, but different colors as well. I read that, I'm like, what? So the brown milk of Vrindavan's cows is known as Malena Dut. Dut means milk. Malena Dut. The golden colored milk of Krishna's cows is known as Swarvarna Dut. Pearl colored milk is called Mukta Dut. And beige milk is referred to as Dumila Dut. So in Braja, Krishna is the Lord of cows producing 5 kinds of colored milk. And I found a beautiful verse in Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.8, where Lord Brahma says, Gobhumi Veda Vidito Vidita. Govinda means Lord of the cows of Braj, as well as Lord of the earth. In fact, he is the Lord of everything described in the Vedas. So in my research, I came across numerous pastimes and references to Krishna and his cows. A short piece, for example. One time, Mother Yasoda started to say to Krishna, listen, my dear son, in this universe, there's an ocean of milk. Mother, Krishna interrupted, how many cows does it take to get enough milk to fill an ocean? And this made the gopis nearby giggle. Mother Yasoda, who was also laughing, she said, my darling son, the milk ocean was not made by cows. So Krishna said, Maya, how can there be milk without cows? So stroking, little Krishna's face, Yasoda replied, my darling son, the one who gave cows the ability to transform grass into milk can also make milk without cows. So Krishna said, Maya, who is that? So lowering her head in respect to the Lord, Yasoda replied, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although all-pervading, he is invisible to material eyes, and therefore you and I cannot see him. So hearing this about himself, Krishna smiled softly and drifted off to sleep. That's a nice pastime, isn't it? Now, Srila Prabhupada once said that the cows in the material world are cousins of the cows in the spiritual world. Some years ago, when we began our lectures on the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham, actually 4 years ago, we once mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote amazing details about the cows in the spiritual world. And I feel those details are worth repeating here, appropriate. He said that the cows in the spiritual world come from two categories. One, those that are Nitya Siddha, associates of Krishna, meaning those who never left the spiritual world. And number two, those who are Sadhan Siddha, those who have achieved perfection by Sadhan Bhakti, like we're doing, by following rules and regulations of devotional service. And I was thinking, you know, as we've all experienced, it's sometimes a challenge. The goal's far away. To achieve Goloka Vrindavan by practicing Sadhan Bhakti, well, we have faith it works. But in this regard, I also read, it was very comforting. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, "It is difficult to understand the secret of Krishna consciousness. But one who advances by the instruction of previous acharyas and follows in the footsteps of his predecessors in the link of disciplic succession will have success. Of this there is no doubt. Will have success. Of this there is no doubt." Comforting. Let's keep going. Now, continuing with his description of cows in Goloka, he writes, it's so beautiful. "Such cows are like Chintamani jewels that fulfill any desire, and their mooing is the most beautiful poetry. Those happy cows are just like pleasant summer. They always lift their ears to hear Krishna's flute, and as they wander the earth in Gokula's pastimes, they resemble bubbles of the milk ocean, as well as the chuckles of Lord Shiva. And they are the infant children of moonlight." The cows in the spiritual world, they're infant children of moonlight. Now, there's something else very extraordinary about Krishna's cows. Being self-realized souls, pure devotees of the Lord, they are Trikala Darshi, it's described. Trikala Darshi, meaning those who can see or sense past, present, and future. For example, with the cows, whenever there is a problem in Vrindavan, like Lord Indra pouring torrents of rain down on the village, or a demon coming to attack Krishna, the cows cry and behave differently with the boys. So for the boys, this is a sign. And the boys are cautious, and they go tell Krishna about the situation, like something's going to happen. The cows are telling us so. And also when anything good happens, the example is given, the appearance day of Sri Radha, or a festival like Holi, or Diwali. All the cows moo in the eastern direction and happily play with the cowherd boys. So then the boys know something really good's going to happen. Now, we emphasized several times that Krishna spends the balance of his day with cows. And Shastra gives a more detailed description that, in this regard, that Krishna stays with his cows from 8:24 a.m. in the morning until 8:24 in the evening. There's a detail for you. He stays with his cows from 8:24 a.m. in the morning to 8:24 p.m. in the evening. And while herding his cows, he has many pastimes, like playing with his friends, killing demons, eating food with his friends, sending messages and sometimes making excuses to leave the boys and the cows to visit Sri Radha at noon at Radhakund. And also playing with his cows. Now, playing with cows is known in Sanskrit as gokrida, gokrida. And it takes the shape of Krishna and his friends decorating the cows' bodies with henna. You know, they put the henna on their hands that dye, and then they put their hands all over the cows, so the cows have the hands of the cowboys all over them. The cows like that. And after that, they would place heavy golden bells around the cows' necks and also around their legs. And then they would fix a golden covering on each horn of the cows. They put, gold around the horn, each of the horns of the cows. Then they would comb their tails and then tie them with colorful threads. And after this, they would, I found it really interesting, they would place decorative masks on the cows' heads or, on their face. Decorative masks. And then they would feed them leaves from the khair tree, Khair, khair tree, which made the cows very energized. And after that, they would put a special type of toy, it's described, to the cows' ears, which would make them very excited and want to run and frolic with the boys. Now, it's said of all the boys, how many cowherd boys are there? Unlimited. Of all the boys, Krishna is the best in dealing with the cows. Of course, he's Gopal. It's written that he's the most expert in calling them, binding them up with a rope, or binding them with a rope attached to a wooden stick, riding on carts and holding their tails to make the cart go faster, decorating cows, petting cows, milking cows, feeding cows, and collecting the cow dung, collecting the dung of the cows. Krishna's the best at that. Treating the cows with herbs. He's the best at running behind or in front of the cows. He's the best fighting with bulls, and he's the best controlling angry bulls and protecting cows. And finally, satisfying them all with his sweet flute playing and lovely face. He satisfies all the cows with his flute playing and with his lovely face. So much information we found. Now the main places where Krishna herds his cows are Bahulavan, Manjulavan, Vatsavan, Vrindavan, and Govardhan. And Krishna's Goswal is technically in the village of Ghazipur near Nandagram. And I read that Sri Radha's Goswala is in Bardoli village, near to Varshana, Bardoli. Some more nectarian details. Krishna has a stick, a flute, a rope, a bugle, and a black blanket for herding cows. His stick is to show the ways to cows, where to go. His flute is used to call them all together and take them back home. His rope is used to play with them and bind them. His bugle, his buffalo horn, or rather, his buffalo horn, is used to call for lost cows and indicate the direction they should walk in to get home. And his black blanket, I thought that was interesting. His black blanket is for controlling mad cows, as well as for sleeping on it in the forest when he gets tired herding the cows. So, some artists can depict that wonderful pastime. Krishna's taking rest in the afternoon, perhaps after lunch, and he's resting on a black blanket. So sometimes Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani, and her gopi friends, they make an excuse to walk by the places where Krishna and his friends are herding cows. They're on their way to sell their milk products in the market, but they take a little diversion there, and they make sure they walk by where Krishna is herding cows, so that Radha can appreciate Krishna's beauty. However, due to social customs, she's bound to keep her head covered, completely covered, when she's around the boys like that. So it's so sweet. What does she do? It says she gazes through her dupatta, like the ladies wear on their heads. She gazes through her dupatta into the eyes of Krishna's cows, who are always staring at Krishna. It's described like gazing upon a beautiful painting. And she sees a reflection of Krishna in the eyes of the cows. And in this way she becomes happy. Social custom, she can't look directly at Krishna. So she looks in the eyes of the cows who are staring at Krishna, and she sees Krishna's reflection, and that's enough for her. Now there's a beautiful pastime involving Krishna's cows. It's related, it's told by, in Dhira Swami's Krishna Sangita, very beautiful book that Maharaj wrote, Krishna Sangita. And therein he takes reference from Srila Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita 2.6, as well as Garga Samhita, 5th canto. In Garga Samhita, we hear how after leaving Vrindavan for Mathura, Akura came to Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura, Krishna actually came back at one point. It's sometimes debated, but in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, as I quoted, and in Garga Samhita, it's described. Krishna came back at one point with Uddhava on a golden chariot to meet the Brajabasis. Now, in Krishna's absence, how would you say, Vrindavan had become like a wasteland. But upon his return with that quick visit, he instantly transformed Vrindavan into a pleasure paradise. Neither the manicured gardens of heaven is described, or the, Chintamani forests of Vaikuntha could compare to the paradise of Braj. And when Krishna's chariot appeared on the horizon, out of curiosity, his cows followed it with their eyes. What is this chariot coming? And then they saw that it was Krishna, Uddhava. Actually, how did they discover? Oh yeah, when a favorable breeze brought the scent of Krishna's body to their nostrils, they at once recognized their Gopal, and they came running. They came running. Despite the fact that their udders were full, Garga Samhita says, their udders were full. Despite that, the cows moved very quickly, with their tails and ears raised out of love. And Krishna, seeing them, he lovingly called out to them, Ho Ganga, Ho Godavari, O Sambhali, O Kalindi, O Tungi, O Yamuna, O Hamsi, O Kamala. With so much love. Love is reciprocal. So the cows, they kept replying to Krishna as they ran. It's called lowing. Lowing again and again, raising a big cloud of dust with their hooves. And again Krishna called out to them. This time with his familiar, what is it? He. That's what you read in the scriptures. Krishna called to them, he. And when his cows, who, heard that sound many times, heard the call, that Krishna reserved, especially for them, the entire herd of cows escaped the control of the cowherd boys, and they ran towards Krishna's chariot. So at first the Gopas tried to control their herd, but when they saw two cloud-like figures, it's described, upon the chariot, the cowherd boys stood still, not daring to hope, yet unable to restrain their thoughts. Krishna is back in Vrindavan. So as soon as the cows surrounded the chariot, Krishna got off and he caressed the cows with his hands as he very affectionately called their names again and again. He inquired about their welfare. And as they drank his beauty with their eyes, smelled Krishna's fragrance with their noses, and licked him with their tongues. That's what cows do. Out of affection, they licked Krishna. They loved Krishna more than anyone's ever been loved before. So Krishna said, "Oh, mothers, have you missed me as much as I have missed you?" His cows replied by trying to embrace Krishna with their bodies. And as they did so, he was back on the chariot now, because he had to go throughout the whole of Vrindavan. As they did so, the chariot rocked back and forth. You know, the cows are there like, the chariot rocked back and forth. And Krishna, amused, he gazed adoringly at their beauty and charm. That's how we should see cows. He gazed adoringly at their beauty and charm. And Krishna laughed while he cried, saying, "There were no such cows in Mathura. There were no such cows in Mathura." Hare Krishna Prabhus. Thank you so much. Cows. Yeah, we love, isn't it? We love to go on and on about cows, Krishna's favorite animal, and our favorite animal as well, because Krishna loves them, we love them, and we protect them. So thank you, and we'll be back in a week with another class on cows. So until then, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Krishna's cows ki, in this world and the next. Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagi ki, Nitai Gaur Bimanandi, Jai Jai Sri Sri Radhe Shyam. Glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back once again to our ongoing series on the glories of our beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Please bear with me today. I have a bit of a cold, but I'm going to give it my best. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Vivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadi Shatarane. All glories to Prabhupada. So we are continuing with our mini-series on stimulation for ecstatic love, and this will be part 29. In our last lecture, we discussed the role of cows in awakening our love for Krishna. Today, I would like to discuss, in particular, how Vrindavan's cows play an important role in increasing the residents of Vrindavan's love for Krishna. It's an interesting angle. Of course, all the residents of Vrindavan are already pure devotees, and their love for Krishna is perfect and complete. It doesn't need to be awoken. It's always been pure, from time immemorial. However, it's always increasing. It's always increasing. The other day we quoted the following verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 4:131, very famous verse, about how Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna is increasing moment by moment. Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he writes, all glories to Radha's love for Krishna, the enemy of the demon Mura. Although it is all-pervading, it tends to increase at every moment. Although it is important, it is devoid of pride, And although it is pure, it is always beset with duplicity. So we hear how Radharani's love is always increasing. Now, there are some nice details which demonstrate the role that cows play in increasing the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. So, after churning milk and getting butter from the cows they milked each morning, the gopis would put that butter into pots, which they would place on the top of their heads. And then they would proceed to various villages around Vrindavan to sell that milk and the milk products in the markets. I was reading the gopis used various types of pots for carrying the butter and other milk products. In particular, Srimati Radharani used a golden pot called Kanaka Kalsika. Kanaka Kalsika. In such a pot that the neck is very narrow, but the opening is very big. And Lalita Saki, she used a silver pot. And the other gopis, they used mainly clay pots, like that. Now the other type of milk products they carried in their pots is very interesting. They would carry miti dadhi, which is described as sweet curd, nun dadhi, which is salted curd, klish malai, which is sour cream, and mishte navneet, which is sweet butter, and nun navneet, which means literally salted butter, and chash, or buttermilk, mixed with cumin seeds and salt, like that. So externally, the gopis would make all these milk products for getting dhan, meaning money or wealth. You go to the Sanskrit dictionary, it means dhan means money or wealth. And this they would get by going to the markets. But it's interesting, another translation of dhan, even more subtle, is treasure. Treasure. There's actually a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Swapne Veshe Premhe Prabhura Gara Gara Mana Bhaya Hale Haya Yena Haraila Dhana. We hear the word dhana. Translation is, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dreamed of the rasa dance, he was fully absorbed in transcendental bliss. But when his dream broke, he thought he had lost a precious jewel. A precious jewel. So in the word for word, Srila Prabhupada translates dhan, it's actually the last word in that verse, dhan, as something very precious. Not just wealth, but he translates it as something very precious. And in the translation, Prabhupada translates it as a precious jewel. A precious jewel. So the reason I'm saying this is because one acharya has played very nicely on this word dhan. He says that when the gopis go to sell their various milk products, their real intention is not to obtain wealth, but rather to obtain the dhan, the precious jewel of Krishna's association. How so? Because so often when they're going, to the markets, Krishna's waiting for them along the various pathways through Vrindavan on the pretext of taxing their wares. Therefore he says, whenever the gopis see cows by whose milk they attain the precious jewel of Krishna's association, it acts as a stimuli for remembering Krishna and increases their love for him. Isn't that sweet? The cows help stimulate everyone's love for Krishna in a special way, like that for the gopis. So Vrindavan's cows, they love Krishna as much as everyone else loves Krishna in Vrindavan. I was reading that one time, after some cowherd men had decorated and ornamented Nanda Maharaja's cows and set them free to mingle with their calves, as they always do, they then directed the cows to the best of grasses. The best of grasses. And we discussed this some years ago, actually. Where are the best of grasses in Vrindavan? Jai Giriyaj Govardhan Lal Laki at Govardhan Hill. Nanda Maharaj's cows are especially attracted to the grasses at Govardhan Hill. Why? Because they're very soft and they don't cut the tongues of the cows. Sometimes cows' tongues get cut when they take grass. Grass can be sharp, not at Govardhan Hill. And the milk that they give after eating that grass makes the best sweets in Vrindavan Dham. So if you're looking for the best sweets in Vrindavan, you have to ask the sweet maker, did you get this milk from cows that ate the grasses at Govardhan Hill? Yes, okay, I'll buy it. No, I'm not going to buy it. So however, that day, after the cowherd men had taken the cows to these special grasses at Govardhan Hill, they were shocked when they got there, and the cows refused to eat the grass. Now that's unusual, isn't it? I've seen cows, they're let loose into the fields, they're eating as they're running. They just love the grass. Here's the best grass in Vrindavan. They refused. Nope, we're not going to eat it. Fortunately, however, the wisest, it's described, the wisest of the cowherd men understood the situation. And he suddenly called out to Krishna, saying, "Oh Gopal, our cows will not eat unless you sweeten these grasses with the touch of your lotus hands. Nothing else will satisfy them. Please, Krishna, come now and fill each cow with delight." And with that, Krishna, who was, he was somewhere else herding another herd of cows, but he once appeared there at Govardhan Hill, and expanded himself into as many forms as there were cows. Just like we hear in the Rasa Leela, Krishna expands himself to dance with each gopi. And this is how dear the cows are to Krishna. He expanded himself to be with each cow. Then he fed them all with his lotus hands, and then it's described, he scratched their heads with his hands. Cows love that. Now, it's so sweet. Cows play such an intricate role in stimulating love in Vrindavan. It's described that when the cows saw Krishna, he entered their hearts. And with that, they were filled with such bliss that they became, indifferent to their calves. In the same way that yogis become indifferent to the world. So after that, out of affection, the cowherd men, they wanted to circumambulate their beloved herd of cows. Why? Well, they love the cows. They're sacred. So much like, we want to go on parikrama to circumambulate Vrindavan or Govardhan Hill. But there was a problem, because there were so many cows, 900,000 to be exact. And to go around them all was impossible. So Krishna was there. He suggested that they circumambulate just one cow, which he said would give the same auspicious benefit as circumambulating all of them. In fact, Krishna said, just as one nourishes all the leaves and branches of a tree by watering its roots, so we can simultaneously adore all our cows and bulls by circumambulating just one cow and one bull. How important is just one cow and one bull to Krishna? So they did that. They went around one cow and one bull, and then they worshipped. They had a ceremony for worshipping the cows and the bulls. So at that point in the pastime, Krishna's herd of calves, who were also somewhere near Govardhan Hill, they arrived. So then after worshipping the cows and the bulls, the cowherd men encouraged the boys to worship the calves. And it's very nice how they did it. It's described, they worshiped the calves by decorating them with cloth, painting pictures on their bodies, and then blissfully frolicking with them. That was a mode of worship. They frolicked with the calves. So then Krishna made the frisky calves lay down to rest by playing special sounds on his flute. And then the cowherd boys, they circumambulated the calves, like their fathers had done to the cows, and then paid all of them respectful obeisances. I thought that was interesting. After circumambulating their calves, the boys, what did they do? They bowed down and paid respectful obeisances. And seeing this, Krishna was really pleased with his friends when he saw them offering obeisances to the calves. And he said something very significant. He said, at the heart of devotion to cows is the act of offering obeisances to them. This is from the lotus mouth of the Lord. At the heart of devotion to cows is the act of offering obeisances to them. Wow. So I thought that's an instruction that those who take care of cows, bulls, and calves on our International Society for Krishna Consciousness farms, they might like to introduce that instruction. At the heart of devotion to cows is the act of offering obeisances to them. Outsiders might find it strange, but not after you've heard this lecture. Cows are so important in stimulating love for Krishna in the spiritual world. Now, there's another nice pastime that took place after Krishna had saved the Brajabasis by lifting Govardhan Hill. As soon as Indra had given up, trying to drown Vrindavan in water and had left back to his celestial kingdom for the time being, the Brajabasis, they repeatedly shouted, Giriraj ki jai, Giriraj ki jai, Giriraj ki jai. And they started coming out from under the hill. And when they came out from under the hill, they were surprised to find Vrindavan had suddenly been restored to its original beauty. You can just imagine, we hear the type of rain that Indra had sent to Vrindavan. It was to devastate Vrindavan. And it must have looked really, the scene must have been very sad, but when they came out, suddenly it was restored to its original beauty. And Shastra describes how so. Nice detail. It said forest animals were already happily dancing about. Bent over trees were righting themselves up. Rivers were flowing peacefully again, and the wind, free of its destructive mode, was blowing gently. Muddy roads and pastures had already dried up, and the air was filled with the sounds of singing birds and buzzing bees. Usually after a storm, there's a big hurricane, there's devastation. But this is Vrindavan. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Now, the first of the Brajabasis to walk out were the cowherd boys. They walked out from under Govardhan Hill. Actually, Krishna's still holding the hill. Fascinating, just finished, the rain just finished. So the boys are the first to walk out. All the while it's described, encouraging the cows to follow them. Come on, cows, come. The cows, however, were reluctant to leave Krishna, who was still standing, again, holding up Govardhan Hill. Actually, for 7 days, those cows had continuously gazed upon Krishna's sweet face. And the acharyas say they had lost interest in the things that they had previously, they lost interest in the things that had previously brought them pleasure. In other words, they experienced the highest pleasure of being in Krishna's personal association, very close to him for 7 days. However, with some coaxing from the cowherd boys, the cows suddenly, how's it described, shot out into the open air like a volley of arrows. They shot out into the open air like a volley of arrows. And running about, they jumped and they kicked in great happiness. You may have seen this sometimes, when cows are, in the barn for a long time and then they open the barn to go pasture. You see the cows are so happy. They eat grass. They're jumping and they're kicking. They kick in the air like that. Their tails go up. However, when these cows looked back, it's so sweet, and saw that Krishna was still beneath the mountain, still holding it up, because the pastime just finished, they ran back inside to be with him. And there they surrounded him, and what did they do? They licked his body continuously. Animals do like that. In this world, sometimes cats, lick their owners, dogs lick the face of their owners. But a sacred cow, Surabhi cow, transcendental personality, I'd like to get licked by that cow. So they surrounded Krishna and licked his body. So this time Krishna took it upon himself to, the pastime has to move on now, everybody out, to drive the cows out. And how did he do it? It's so nice. It's written, by means of compassionate glances and familiar flute melodies, which sent the cows streaming out from under Govardhan Hill in all directions at once. So seeing this, all the Brajabasis were overjoyed to see their cows happy back in the pasturing grounds around Govardhan. So then all the Brajabasis, they departed from Giriraja's shelter. They subscribed their musical instruments with them, and while dancing out from under Govardhan Hill, what did they do? They simply sang of Krishna's heroic feats. And so should we. On our way to work, on our way to school, back home, we should sing of Krishna's heroic feats. And if you can't remember them all, everything's there in the Maha Mantra. You can just sing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, my voice is still working despite the cold, so one more pastime. It's actually hard to choose. There's so many cow pastimes in Vrindavan, again, because Krishna spends most of the day with his cows. So there is a pastime where Krishna and Balaram, they once hid from their friends, only to be discovered by their own clever cows. It's written. They were discovered by their own clever cows. Not the boys, but the cows. Very sweet. So one day, in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan, while the cows grazed, the cowherd boys, they were busy playing different games. And at one point, Krishna and Balaram decided to play a trick on their friends by walking away and hiding themselves in a very dense part of the forest. Now at first, the cowherd boys thought that the two brothers had gone to, search for some stray cows, which happens sometimes. But later on, towards the evening, when all the cows were called, to go back to Nandagram, they were all accounted for. Krishna and Balaram weren't there. So the boys began to worry about Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram are the very life and soul of the cowherd boys. One acharya says, like the air, the cowherd boys breathe. Like the air, the cowherd boys breathe. How dear to us is air. You think about it. So Krishna's, as dear to the cowherd boys, like air that they breathe. So it's described that in the absence of the brothers, Krishna and Balaram, the boys felt that they were actually slowly suffocating, no air. So they began to call out repeatedly, all together in a chorus, "O Krishna, O Ram, O Krishna, O Ram," as they searched throughout the forest. They actually were asking the trees, the deer, and the birds if they'd seen Krishna and Balaram. But as hard as they tried, they couldn't find their brothers. If God wants to hide from you, no one's going to find him. But if God wants to find you, you can't hide from him. Lord Chaitanya even went out and sat Nitai and they even found Jagai and Madai. So we're very grateful that Krishna sent Srila Prabhupada to find all of us. Otherwise we may not have made it. Certainly would not have made it. So panicking, the boys discussed amongst themselves that maybe a demon or some demons have captured Krishna and Balaram. But then they thought, when did a demon ever exist who could defeat our two heroes? They see Krishna like that. Krishna's their hero. Because every day he kills a demon before they have lunch. And the whole subject matter of lunch is how Krishna killed the demon. He's their hero. So when did a demon ever exist who could defeat are two heroes, they thought. They were thinking, so far, every demon who's come to Vrindavan has been killed by either Krishna or Balaram, or the two of them together. So, soon the boys' concern for Krishna and Balaram became contagious. And all the cows started what? It's so sweet. What would they start? Mooing in separation from Krishna and Balaram. I look forward to that day that I can hear a cow moo in separation from Krishna and Balaram. I have to be in the spiritual world, I guess. And so those cows, they also began searching through the forest. It's described as if they were searching for their own calves. Now we've got the boys searching and we have the cows searching. Then it's described that some especially, again, clever cows took the lead and followed the transcendental scent of Krishna and Balaram's bodies. Wow. So seeing this, the cowherd boys, they just joyfully followed behind the cows, encouraging them on. And it's described that this herd of cows, followed by cheering cowherd boys, snaked its way through the forest until it reached Krishna and Balaram's hiding place. Whereupon arriving, the cows began mooing very loudly in a special tone. I don't know what that tone is. They started mooing in a special tone while digging the earth with their hooves and looking into the bushes. So with those sure signs, the cowherd boys who were following them started running to where Krishna and Balaram were hiding, shouting, "They must be in there, they must be in there." And as they approached, Krishna and Balaram came out of their hiding place, jumping up and down and dancing all around, ecstatic that they had played such a good trick on their friends, but especially because they had been found by their loving cows. So just see how the cows play such an intricate role, stimuli in awakening the Brajabasi's love for Krishna. That was the theme of this lecture today. So from that day on, that spot, that place has been called Pashupa. Pashupa meaning the place where the cows, Pashu, had found Krishna and Balaram, while the cowherd boys had followed the cows' hoof prints, Pa. Therefore that place is called Pashupa, or sometimes Pashopa. Pashupa or Pashopa in Vrindavan. So, maybe next Kartik, we should go there. We can all play hide and seek. Hide and seek as well. That's the theme of that place. So, this pastime actually has a spiritual message to it as well. The acharyas say that Krishna is present everywhere, even in our hearts. But we cannot know him unless, like the cowherd boys, we follow in the footsteps of great souls who know how to find Krishna. Now in this pastime it means the cows. They're all great, realized, pure devotees of the Lord, fully conscious. Some souls want to play that role in Krishna's pastime. Some want to be trees. Every living entity in the spiritual world is fully realized. They're all contributing a variety of wonderful, beautiful sentiments that make up the great love that is there for Krishna in the spiritual world. So Krishna is present everywhere, even in our hearts, but we cannot know him unless, like the cowherd boys, we follow in the footsteps of great souls, who know how to find Krishna. And with that in mind, I thought we would finish today with it's a famous verse from Mahabharata with a similar theme. I think it's Vanaparva 313-117. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhyam mahajano yena katasapanta. It is very difficult to understand the secrets of Krishna consciousness, but the truths of religious principles are hidden in the hearts of unadulterated, self-realized persons. Therefore, one should follow in the footsteps of such mahajans or great souls. And we are doing that because we are all followers of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. And he will lead us back to that world of love and bliss. We'll be able to see these cows and become inspired by their devotion to Krishna. It's contagious. Bhakti is contagious. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for leading us like a herd back to the spiritual world. We'll finish there, Prabhus. That's about all we have on cows, just 2 classes. Vrindavan's Unlimited, we'll look through Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu and find some more items or personalities who can inspire us in our bhakti to the divine couple, Shri Shri Radharashama Sundar. So, thank you. I'll see you in 1 week. Hope I don't have a cold then. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radharashama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, all of Krishna's cows ki, Maya Pradam ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Sri Sri Radhe Shar. Glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
I worship Lord Keshava. This is by Srila Rupa Goswami, a great saint, a great, great saint who was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna with great love and devotion. I worship Lord Keshava, Krishna, coming back from the forest of Braja. He wears flower earrings, a crown.
The following
Fully blossomed
is a free for
jasmine
download
flowers and a Brahman thread of small, charming, sweet and fragrant jasmine flowers. I worship Lord Keshava, coming back from the forest of Braja. He happily calls his straying Surabi cows. He calls the cows as they stray. Oh Pishangi! Oh Pishangi! Oh Manikashtini! Oh Manikashtini! Each cow had a name, and Krishna knew the name of each cow. He loved the cows. Oh Pranata Shringi! Oh Pranata Shringi! Oh Pingekshana! Oh Pingekshana! Oh Mridangamukhi! Dumala! Shabali! Hangsi! You're chanting louder than everyone all put together. This is wonderful. Please. Oh Vangsi! Oh Vangsi! Oh Priya! Oh Priya! Krishna would call them with such a sweet voice. Sometimes he would call them by playing his flute. I worship Lord Keshava, coming back from the forest on the pathways of Braja. With the best of words, he makes his splendidly dressed and affectionate friends, who are all expert at the art of pleasant jokes. He makes them smile and he makes them laugh with his own words. Because Vrindavan is all about relationships with Krishna. I worship Lord Keshava, coming back from the forest of Braja. His cheeks are licked by a stream of perspiration. He is decorated with pictures drawn in mineral colors from the hill. And his curling locks of hair are more splendid than a swarm of black bees. I worship Lord Keshava, coming back from the forest of Braja. With the sweet sound of his flute, he calls the Surabi cows, who, eager to see their young calves, they break the ground with their heavy dancing hoofs. Sometimes in Vrindavan we see the calves they're running and they bounce. Has anyone ever see a calf run and like bounce as if it had springs in its legs? They're so happy. And Krishna loved the cows and the calves so much. And sometimes he would take the calves and he would massage their legs and he would rub them like this. And then he would put his forehead right next to their foreheads. No, I won't. Okay. He would put their foreheads right next to the calf's forehead, and he would say, "Do you miss your mother?" Because the calves were so little and not used to being away from home. "Don't worry, we'll take you to your mother soon." He would speak to them so sweetly, and they would become so soothed. I worship Lord Keshava. Coming back from the forest of Braja, he beautifies the path with his footprints. And everyone in Vrindavan would respect the footprints of Krishna. Not even the wind would disturb the footprints of Krishna. Not the calves, not the cows, not the people, not the deer, not the birds would disturb the footprints of Krishna. Everyone worshipped those footprints. He wears a garland of dust raised by the wandering cows, and his garments and peacock feathers move with the waves of the wind. I worship Lord Keshava coming back from the forest of Braja with the playful and sweet music of his flute. He delights the heart of Braja's queen and makes all the gopis in their homes happy at heart. They hear the sound of Krishna's flute and they know that Krishna will soon be coming home. He makes the hairs of their bodies stand erect with joy. I worship Lord Keshava coming back from the forest of Braja. He is worshipped by the gopis who mount the roofs of their palaces, and they meet him on the path with 100 different kinds of glances from their dancing eyes. May Vishaka's friend Krishna give transcendental happiness and unwavering, fixed love for Krishna's lotus feet to the intelligent persons who attentively hear or read these 8 verses that are a glorious festival for all the beloved gopis of Vrindavan.
Download audiobook available on Google Drive. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 65, Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. This chapter relates how Lord Balaram went to Gokul, enjoyed the company of the cowherd girls, and dragged the Yamuna River. One day, Lord Balaram went to Gokul to see his relatives and friends. When he arrived there, the elder gopis and Lord Krishna's parents, Nanda and Yasoda, who had all been in great anxiety for a long time, embraced him and blessed him. Lord Balaram offered appropriate respects and greetings to each of his worshipable elders according to age, friendship, and family relation. After Gokul's residence and Lord Balaram had inquired about each other's welfare, the Lord rested from his journey. In a short while, the young gopis came to Lord Balaram and questioned him about Krishna's well-being. They asked, quote, "Does Krishna still remember his parents and friends? And will he be coming to Gokul to visit them? For Krishna's sake, we gave up everything, even our fathers, mothers, and other relatives. But now he has abandoned us. How could we help but put our faith in Krishna's words after seeing his sweet smiling face and thus being overwhelmed by the urges of Cupid. Still, if Krishna can spend his days in separation from us, why can't we tolerate separation from him? So there's no reason to keep talking about him." End quote. In this manner, the gopis remembered Sri Krishna's charming talks, enchanting glances, playful gestures, and loving embraces, and as a result, they began to cry. Lord Balaram consoled them by conveying the attractive messages Krishna had given him for them. Lord Balaram stayed in Gokul for 2 months, sporting with the gopis in the groves of the Yamuna's shore. The demigods who witnessed these pastimes played kettle drums in the heavens and showered down flower petals, while the celestial sages recited Balaram's glories. One day, Lord Balaram became intoxicated by drinking some Varuni liquor and began wandering about the forest in the company of the gopis. He called out to the Yamuna, quote, "Come here so I and the gopis can enjoy sporting in your waters," end quote. But the Yamuna ignored his command. Lord Balaram then started to pull the Yamuna with the end of his plow, splitting her into hundreds of tributaries. Trembling out of fright, the goddess Yamuna appeared, fell down at Lord Balaram's feet, and prayed for forgiveness. The Lord let her go and then entered her waters with his girlfriends to sport for some time. When they rose from the water, the goddess Kanti presented Lord Balaram with beautiful ornaments, clothing, and garlands. Even today, the Yamuna flows through the many channels cut by Lord Baladev's plow, the signs of his having subdued her. While Lord Balaram played, his mind became enchanted by the gopis' pastimes. Thus, the many nights he spent in their company seemed to him like a single night. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, "O best of the Kurus, once Lord Balaram, eager to visit his well-wishing friends, mounted his chariot and traveled to Nanda Gokul." Purport. As Srila Jiva Goswami points out, Lord Balaram's journey to Sri Vrindavan is also described in the Harivamsha Vishnu Parva 4610. Kasya chid atta kalashya shmitva gopishu shahridam Jagamaiko Vrajam Rama Krishna Syan Numate Shtita. Quote, remembering the deep friendship he once enjoyed with the cowherd folk, Lord Ram went alone to Vraja, having taken Lord Krishna's permission. End quote. The simple residents of Vrindavan were grieved that Lord Krishna had gone to live elsewhere, so Lord Balaram went there to console them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur addresses the question of why Lord Krishna, the great ocean of pure love, did not also go to Vraja. In explanation, the Acharya provides the following 2 verses. Preyashi prema vikyata pitarav ati vatsalo prema vashyas cha krishnas tams tyaktva na katam eshyati iti mat yaiva yadava pratyabandham harer gato vraja prema pravardi shva lila dina tvam iyusha. Quote, the Yadus thought, the Lord's beloved girlfriends are famous for their pure ecstatic love, and his parents are extremely affectionate toward him. Lord Krishna is controlled by pure love, so if he goes to see them, how will he be able to leave them and come back to us? End quote. With this in mind, the Yadus prevented Lord Hari from going, knowing that he becomes subservient to the pastimes in which he reciprocates the ever-increasing love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. End quote. Text 2. Having long suffered the anxiety of separation, the cowherd men and their wives embraced Lord Balaram. The Lord then offered respects to his parents and then joyfully greeted him, and they joyfully greeted him with prayers. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives the following verse regarding this situation. Nityananda Shrupo Pi Prema Tapto Rajauk Kasham Yo Krishnam Apitaktya Va Yas tam Rama Muhushtama. Quote, let us repeatedly glorify Lord Balaram. Although he is the original personality of eternal bliss, Nityananda, he felt pained by his love for the residents of Vraja, and thus he went to see them even at the cost of leaving Lord Krishna, end quote. Text 3. Nanda and Yashoda prayed, quote, O descendant of Dashara, O Lord of the universe, may you and your younger brother Krishna ever protect us, end quote. Saying this, they raised Lord Balaram onto their laps, embraced him, and moistened him with tears from their eyes. Report. Srila Jiva Goswami comments on this verse as follows, quote, Nanda and Yashoda prayed to Lord Balaram, quote, may you, along with your younger brother, protect us, end quote. Thus they expressed their respect for the fact that he is the elder brother, and they also showed him how much they considered him their own son, end quote. Text 4 through 6. Lord Balaram then paid proper respects to the elder cowherd men, and the younger ones all greeted him respectfully. He met them all with smiles, handshakes, and so on, dealing personally with each one according to age, degree of friendship, and family relationship. Then, after resting, the Lord accepted a comfortable seat, and they all gathered around him. With voices faltering out of love for him, those cowherds who had dedicated everything to lotus-eyed Krishna asked about the health of their dear ones in Dwarka, and Balaram in turn asked about the cowherds' welfare. Text 7. The cowherds said, O Ram, are all our relatives doing well? And Ram, do all of you, with your wives and children, still remember us? Text 8. It is our great fortune that sinful Kamsa has been killed and our dear relatives have been freed. And it is also our great fortune that our relatives have killed and defeated their enemies and found complete security in a great fortress. Text 9. Shukadeva Goswami continued, honored to have the personal audience of Lord Balaram, the young gopis smiled and asked him, quote, is Krishna, the darling of the city women, living happily? Purport. According to the Acharyas, Lord Krishna's beloved girlfriends were smiling with divine madness since they were feeling extreme unhappiness in separation from their beloved Krishna. Lord Ram deeply respected their great love for Sri Krishna, his younger brother, and thus the term Rama Sudarshana Drita carries the meaning that Balaram honored the gopis as well as the given meaning that they honored him. Text 10. Does he remember his family members, especially his father and mother? Do you think he will ever come back even once to see his mother? And does mighty armed Krishna remember the service we always did for him? Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that the gopis would render service to Lord Krishna by stringing flower garlands, skillfully using perfumes, and constructing fans, beds, and canopies out of flower petals. By these simple acts of love, the gopis rendered the greatest service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 11 and 12. For Krishna's sake, the descendant of Dashara, we abandon our mothers, fathers, brothers, husbands, children, and sisters, even though these family relations are difficult to give up. But now, O Lord, that same Krishna has suddenly abandoned us and gone away, breaking off all affectionate ties with us, and yet how could any woman fail to trust his promises? Text 13. How can intelligent city women possibly trust the words of one whose heart is so unsteady and who is so ungrateful? They must believe him because he speaks so wonderfully and also because his beautiful smiling glances arouse their lust. Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, some gopis speak the first two lines of the verse and the others reply in the second two lines. Text 14. Quote, why bother talking about him, dear gopi? Please talk of something else. If he passes his time without us, then we shall similarly pass ours without him. End quote. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami points out that the gopis here subtly indicate that Lord Krishna spends his time happily without them, whereas they are most unhappy without their Lord. This is the difference between him and them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds the following commentary, quote, considering themselves different from the other women, the gopis thought as follows, quote, if other women are together with their lovers, they live, and if they're separated, they die. But we neither live nor die. This is the fate Providence has written on our foreheads. What remedy can we find? End quote. Text 15. While speaking these words, the young cowherd women remembered Lord Shari's laughter, his pleasing conversations with them, his attractive glances, his style of walking, and his loving embraces. Thus they began to cry. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti commented as follows, quote, the gopis thought, the Krishna moon, after piercing our hearts with the darts of his nectarian laughter, went away. So how will the city women not die when he does the same to them? End quote. Overwhelmed with these thoughts, the young cowherd girls began to cry, even in the presence of Sri Baladev. End quote. Text 16. The Supreme Lord Balaram, the attractor of all, being expert at various kinds of conciliation, consoled the gopis by relaying to them the confidential messages Lord Krishna had sent with them. These messages deeply touched the gopis' hearts. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes the following verse from Sri Vishnu Purana 5:24-20, which describes the messages Lord Balaram brought from Krishna for the gopis. Sandeshai samamurd huryai prema garbhir agarvitai ramena shwasita gopya Krishna syati manoharai. Quote, Lord Balaram consoled the gopis by giving them Lord Krishna's most charming messages, which expressed sweet conciliation, which were inspired by his pure love for them, and which were without a tinge of pride. End quote. Srila Jiva Goswami also comments that the use of the name Shankarshan here implies that Balaram attracted Lord Krishna to appear in his mind, and in this way showed Lord Sri Krishna to the gopis. Thus, Balaram consoled Sri Krishna's beloved girlfriend. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that Lord Krishna sent various messages. Some instructed the gopis in transcendental knowledge, others were conciliatory, and still others revealed the Lord's power. Besides its given meaning, the word Hridayam Gamai also indicates that these messages were confidential. Text 17. Lord Balaram, the personality of Godhead, resided there for the 2 months of Madhu and Madhava, and during the nights he gave his cowherd girlfriends conjugal pleasure. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the gopis who enjoyed conjugal affairs with Sri Balaram during his visit to Gokul had not taken part in Krishna's rasa dance, being too young at the time. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this statement by quoting a phrase from the Bhagavatam 10.15.8. Gopyo nit
Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Dhira Damodara Ishaye Kana Bhova Mandire Basi Karaha Bhojana Nandirani Deshi Bashi Giri Baradari Baladeva Saha Soka Boise Sari Sari Shukta Shakhari Baji Lalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dugda Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda Dabora Mash Boda Roti Kabritana Chaskuli Pista Kakir Puli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasalama Dvadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana Paramayanande Krishna Korena Bhojana Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mangala Bagala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo Radhikari Gani Hari Nayane Rakone Tripta Hoye Kai Krishna Jasoda Bhavani Bhojanande Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Kore Sari Sari Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane Jambula Rasalane Jambula Masala Tahake Krishna Chandra Suke Nidradela Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya Apurva Saya Krishna Suke Nirayaya Yasomati Anga Priye Danishtaya Nito Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Unje Hoye Prito हरि हरि सखी गण अवशेष पाया मन मन सुखे राधा कृष्ण गुण गाया हरि लीला एकमात्र जहाँ पमोरा भोगारती गाय ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि भज भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी नंद दशमति चित हरि नंद दशमति